Hello again, and this time I want to talk about some of the alternative rapture views. And if you've spent any time at all looking at eschatology, which is just simply the doctrine of end times, you've no doubt heard some of these terms: pre-tribulational, possibly mid-tribulational, although that view really has fallen off significantly, not really a lot of advocates for that, and post-tribulational. And so the two dominant views are pre-tribulational and post-tribulational. All of these views, including Prewrath, fall within a larger category of premillennialism. That is, Jesus Christ is going to come back and he is going to reign on the earth for 1,000 years. And so this idea of the rapture being premillennial is sometime before Jesus comes back to the earth. And so theologians like to talk about this period of time called the tribulation. And so they typically want to say it's a 7-year period before Jesus returns to the earth. And during that time, it's going to be the worst time in human history. And a lot of these same theologians will refer to this time period as the day of the Lord. And so what they do is, based on Daniel and some other passages in Revelation, they've come up with a theory that there is a 7-year tribulation left in God's calendar or chronology before Jesus returns to the earth to set up his kingdom. And so with that, they like to call it the tribulation, but at the same time, typically they will say it is one and the same as the day of the Lord. And so really it puts the pre-tribulational position in an interesting position against post-trib, and then on some issues it puts post-tribulational advocates in a better position than pre-trib on some issues. And I'll explain some of that in just a minute. But pre-tribulational is the idea that all believers in Jesus Christ are going to be raptured out of the earth prior to this tribulation period. Mid-trib, of course, would indicate that believers will go through this first half of the coming tribulation. And then post-trib advocates would say that the church goes through the entire tribulation and are raptured at the end, just prior to Christ coming back. And so each of these views assume this 7-year tribulation period. One thing I want to point out, though, is that you will search your Bible in vain trying to find where God refers to a coming 7-year tribulation. In fact, the idea of the tribulation is really based in Matthew 24, where at one point Jesus says that there will be great tribulation. And so what they do is they basically say, and this is a theological argument, not a biblical one. And all I mean by that, I don't mean that to sound derogatory. All I mean by that is theological arguments can be made. We can look at certain texts and ideas and come up with conclusions that may not be specifically laid out in the Bible, but they kind of fit a theological paradigm or way of thinking. And so the idea of this 7-year tribulation, it's generic tribulation across the earth. And some of them will even argue that the first half is largely peaceful, but it's only the second half that is great tribulation. So you have tribulation and great tribulation. My friends, that's simply just not how the New Testament speaks of this coming time of great judgment. And so the next video I'm going to do will be to kind of walk through Matthew 24, where we will see the divisions Jesus put in place. But for now, I just wanted to describe what is pre-tribulational, what is mid-tribulational, and what is post-tribulational, just so when I talk about these terms, they will be known and you'll be able to refer back and understand what it is I'm talking about. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.